Welcome to another lesson of the day. Before we start, I am Bakar MC Sane, coming to present another lesson on social and environmental studies for the upper basic level. Now, before we get into the new lesson, let us do our correction exercises from the past lesson. Question number 1 reads, which physical feature in Senegal does the river Gambia flows? Which physical feature in Senegal does the river Gambia flows? The answer is Barakunda Falls. Barakunda Falls. This is a physical feature located in the Republic of Senegal. Question 2. Name the main tributary of the Gambia. Name the main tributary of the Gambia. The answer here is the Bintang Bolong. The Bintang Bolong. Or you can write the Bintang Creek. The Bintang Creek. If you could fully remember in the lesson, we've said Bolong is a local word derived from the Mandinka language. Question number 3. Which stream is close to the southern boundary of the Gambia? Which stream is close to the southern boundary of the Gambia? The answer for question number 3 is Halahin Bolong. Halahin Bolong. Or you say Halahin Creek. This is the Bolong situated nearer to the southern boundary of the Gambia. Question number 4. One of the environmental hazards affecting the drainage of the Gambia is, once again, one of the environmental hazards affecting the drainage of the Gambia is salt water intrusion. Salt water intrusion. This is seriously affecting the drainage of the Gambia, more especially along regions where rice cultivation is carried out. Now, our today's lesson is entitled Substance Abuse or Drug Abuse. Substance abuse or drug abuse. Now, before moving further, let us start with the key word here. The key word here is abuse. Now, what is meant by the word abuse? Abuse means wrong use, overuse, etc. is what we mean by abuse. Abuse means wrong use, overuse, or the wrong way of using something. That is abuse. For example, the abuse of alcohol kills the one who does it. The abuse of alcohol kills the one who does it. Substance abuse means the use of substances in the wrong way. The use of substances in the wrong way. So, generally, any practices or anything which is not put into the rightful way is regarded as abuse. Now, what are you seeing here? We are seeing one of the drugs commonly abused in the Gambia. One of the drugs commonly abused in the Gambia. And as we go through the slides, you will see the names of various substances abused in the Gambia. And one of them is the one you are seeing on the slide right now. And this particular drug is known as marijuana. This is known as marijuana. Some will call it Thai. Some will call it Yamba. Or others will even call it Bakso. Yes, as you can see. Now, under substance abuse, it is the misuse of drugs for non-medical reasons and the use of narcotic drugs. Remember, all falls under substance abuse and drug abuse for that matter. Abuse of harmful substances poses a serious threat to personal health and to the well-being of our friends, families, loved ones, and the society in general. It is very true. Substances abused or drugs abused by the youngsters, the elderly, be it any classes of people in the society, had a negative impact on the abuser or the user. Now, what are some of the causes of drug abuse in our society? One of them is peer influence. Peer influence. Someone who is involved in the smoking of cigarette or marijuana, known as Jamba, Thai, Bakso, Sirif Taba, etc., can influence the person who is never involved in the practice. This is what we mean by peer influence, and it is mostly done by persuading the person to do so. Poor parental control or guidance also results to drug abuse. As a parent, one needs to be highly responsible. If you remember, in one of our lessons, we've talked about responsibilities of family members. So among them, we've talked about parents being highly responsible. So if there is the opposite in a particular society, in a particular home, obviously drug abuse will become the order of the day. And of course, guidance. The parents' guidance. As a parent, children needs your full support. They should be guided, and part of this guidance goes with advising, sitting with them, narrating important stories, talking about the cultures, the norms, the practices, the do's and don'ts of the family and the society in general. The other one is curiosity. It's among the causes. Some users of drug, especially in the abusive way, usually does it as a result of curiosity. What is this curiosity about? You want to know what are the effects, be it negative or positive, when I smoke cigarette, for example, marijuana, for example, cocaine, if I took in those ones, or heroin, or smack, petrol, etc. Yes, if I took these substances, what will be the result? What will be the outcome? This is what is meant by curiosity. Lack of self-esteem. Lack of self-esteem. The user thinking that he is worthless or she is worthless to the family, to the society in general, or to even the country. Yes. So it's among the reasons. Frustration. The one involved into the practice either feels or felt that he or she is frustrated. He is nothing to the society. He is nothing to the community. So it results to that as well, frustration. To awaken your senses. some people abuse drugs, some people are involved into the use of substances in the wrongful way, thinking that their senses will work accordingly. For example, the 5 senses in a human being. The 5 senses in a human being, yes, you learn those ones in the sciences. So some will be thinking that the abuse of drug will result to awakening of my senses. Then another one is boredom. What is this boredom? Seeing the society as uninteresting. When you are not up to anything, you are not going to school, you are not up to any apprenticeship training, you are just in a society just like a liability. At the end, it will result to boredom. You feel lonely. Yes, you think you are not part of the society. So boredom is among the causes. Disregard for guardian or parental advice. If a child befriends this notion, which is disregard for a guardian or parental advice, might result to drug abuse. It might result to substance abuse. Yes, you are someone who didn't pay heed to your parents' advice. Somebody who doesn't pay heed to the guardian's advice. Somebody who is not paying heed to the teacher's advice. Not to talk of other members of the community. Obviously, may result to drug abuse or substance abuse. Examples of harmful drugs used in the Gambia. 1. Cannabis or marijuana, jamba, Thai, bakso, kuchumpeng, siriftaba, etc., etc. Like it is called in various communities. Heroin, cocaine, tobacco, alcohol, kubejaro or kubejara, lactil, petrol, nicotine, which is available in cigarettes, caffeine, which is also in coffee, Valium, Rosedo. All these are harmful drugs used in the Gambia. You can see some samples of them. What are we seeing here? We are seeing drugs. Remember, a drug, even if it is medically advised to be taken, but if the problem of an overdose happens, it results to drug abuse. It will be regarded as abuse. For example, you are diagnosed with malaria and the doctor advised that take these medicines twice in a day, take 2 in the morning and 2 in the evening. You being the patient took 3 in the morning and 4 in the evening. How will we describe this? We will describe that act as an abuse, the wrongful use of drugs. So abuse is not just focused on the harmful ones I named before, like you can see, the kubejara, the petrol, the lactil, the nicotine, the cocaine, the heroin, etc., etc. It's not only confined to those ones. What are we seeing? Here we are seeing the syringe, the needle, which is used by the abuser when it comes to the use of cocaine and heroin. Cocaine, heroin. When it comes to the use of those harmful substances, people use the syringe and the needle to inject these harmful substances into their veins, resulting to abnormalities. Now, what are some of these effects? The moment drug is abused by the user, the effects or the end result is damages one's health. It damages one's health. We take an example of a tobacco smoker, someone who smokes a lot. For example, cigarette for that matter, yes, will not gain total health when compared with the non-smoker. If you look at the health status of the smoker and that of the non-smoker, you will be even seeing some differences or changes with your own naked eyes. You can see the differences. The signs are shown on the body. Not to talk of when the user did an X-ray. For example, if the user did an X-ray, the non-user also did an X-ray of the lungs, which is part of the respiratory system. Obviously, you will be seeing some differences. The lungs of a non-smoker and the lungs of an addicted smoker obviously differs. They aren't the same. Another effect is mental illness. Drug abuse results to mental illness. In this mental illness, the person misbehaves. The person is not doing things as usual. And this is shown in different ways, like I demonstrated before. The way the person talks, the way the person walks, the way the person interacts with friends, with parents, with other members of the communities. It's completely different. It also leads to harmful or weakening of the user's body. It results to the body experiencing series of harms, and it even weakens the user's body. You look at some of the addict smokers, the body is so slimmed that sometimes it looks like the structure of a skeleton. The other effects are more money is spent on drug abuse. This is very true. Let's take an example of the marijuana, which is the most commonly abused drug in the Gambia. How much in Dalasi is spent on the use of marijuana? More than $20 just to get one lump of it. It's more than $20 by now. Not to talk of the one who is fond of abusing it. We will spend how many or how much of that $20 in a day? It can be 5 times or even more. 20 times 5 is how much? $100. For example, if you smoke marijuana, let's say 5 times in a day, and assuming that the cost to one lump of marijuana is $20, using it 5 times in a day is like spending $100 on marijuana alone in a day, which at the end is contributing towards the ruining of your health system. Leads to rejection from society. Leads to rejection from society. This is another true viewpoint. It's another true viewpoint. It leads to rejection from society. It also slows down the physical growth of the user. If you look at your posture, your structure, yes, generally your body's health condition, even by viewing, you will realize that your body's growth and development is not going as usual. It's not going as usual. May lead to sudden death. This is also true. May lead to sudden death. In other words, drug abuse may lead to sudden death. Be it smoking, use of heroin, use of cocaine, use of smack, petroleum, or even the harmless ones. So long as they are abused, the end result is always what? Death at the end. With the problem of drug abuse or substance abuse in the Gambia, there are organizations involved in the fight against this illicit practice or unlawful practice. Some of them are Youth Front Against Drugs and Alcohol. It's among the organizations involved in the fight against drug abuse. International Organization for Good Templars. International Organization for Good Templars. In short, it is called IOGT. IOGT. Nova Scotia Gambia Association, known as NSGA, is among the organizations. Next is the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. Besides the organization, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency is the government's main agency that is partnering with these organizations in combating drug abuse in the country, known as NDLEAG. Now, these organizations usually combat the use of drugs or the use of harmful substances in the Gambia by sensitization on TV, sensitization through radio talk shows, sensitization through the print media, for example, the newspapers. It is done in various forms and even campaigns. Now, we come to another societal problem. Apart from drug abuse, next is teenage pregnancy. Teenage pregnancy. Now, this means pregnancy before reaching the age of 20 years. Pregnancy before reaching the age of 20 years. In fact, some will even append it to 18 years. So we say 18 years. So long as you didn't reach 18 years and you got pregnant, be it in a lawful way or in an unlawful way, it is regarded as teenage pregnancy. Now, it is a major health concern. What makes it a major health concern is because of its association with high morbidity and mortality for both mother and the baby. What is this morbidity and mortality about? Morbidity here is about poor health, worsening one's health. Mortality is loss of lives. How many people are faced with ill health? How many people lost their lives as a result of teenage pregnancy? It is numerous. It is many. Now, what are we seeing here? What are we seeing here? We are seeing a school girl who is pregnant. We are seeing here a school girl who is pregnant, and even the image of the girl shows that, yes, this person is not normal. Yes, this person is not quite comfortable. It's not quite comfortable, as you can see. It's one example of teenage pregnancy. When someone is involved into this harmful practice, this is the way some of them behaves. Look at it. You can see the school girl walking, going to the school with the head bowed down. You can see. And among the reasons or causes of this teenage pregnancy are what? Numerous. There are various reasons for the teenage pregnancy. One of them is the desire for money, or we say the love for money. As a school-going girl or as a young girl, even not going to school, if you always need money besides the money given to you by parents, guardians, family members, or well-wishers, obviously you may be involved in this particular bad practice, or you will end up practicing this harmful thing. You may end up seeing yourself in this problem. Another cause is ignorance. What is the ignorance about? Some teenagers who got pregnant usually does it for them to know or see the result. Yes, if I am pregnant, what is going to happen? What will happen to my body? How will I feel? This is what we mean by ignorance. How will I feel? Yes, when someone is pregnant, how does the person feels like? So that's another cause or reason. Next is fashion. Fashion. As a young girl or as a teenager who loves fashion, who likes fashion so much, you don't cut your coat according to your cloth. Obviously, you may end up seeing yourself practicing certain deeds which may result to teenage pregnancy. Peer influence. Peer influence. Some friends will be advising each other in an immoral way. You advise your friend in a way that is not going to be beneficial to the friend. You give a kind of advice to a friend that has no link to the friend's future. Also result to teenage pregnancy. It also results to teenage pregnancy. Another one is curiosity. Curiosity. People are involved into having sex before marriage or having sex whilst one is going to school, yes, trying to see the end result, trying to know the end result. What we call curiosity. You want to know, yes, when I am pregnant, what is going to happen? Whether good or bad, whether negative or positive, you just give it a try. Then another reason is frustration. Another reason is frustration. That is the reason why a parent needs to be highly responsible. If the parent is highly responsible, the parent is doing his or her best for the children, obviously the problem of frustration may become history in the family. Another one is lack of parental control. Lack of parental control. This means the parent is not controlling members of the family, more especially the young ones at all. Yes. Thinking that your main responsibility towards the family is the provision of food, clothing, and shelter. These are your responsibilities. You don't sit with the children. You have no regard for the children when it comes to guidance and counseling. Obviously, may result to teenage pregnancy. Now, as a teenager, if you are already into this bad practice, what are some of the effects? What are some of the results? Number one is abortion. One is abortion, which is seriously harmful to the one who does it. Yes, you are already pregnant. You are now awaiting your date of delivery, but you definitely dislike this pregnancy. You don't like it. Maybe part of the reasons could be you are a school-going girl, or you are an unmarried girl going to school or into a career, you tend to abort. This has a serious negative consequences on the abuser or on the person who is involved into the practice. Baby dumping is another effect. Baby dumping is another effect. If you go to some of our dumping grounds, they are not only used for the dumping of refuse. Our dumping grounds are also used to dump babies. Sometimes these babies, in fact, are live babies for that mother, not the ones who are dead. Not the ones who are not fully matured for delivery. Sometimes you come across different types of it. Another effect is frustration. Someone who is already into the practice of teenage pregnancy, for example, a school-going girl who is already pregnant, yes, will face frustration, will be frustrated, especially if support is not given to the person, especially if the person is not adequately advised. It may also lead to a discontinuity of schooling. If it is a school-going girl, you are pregnant, going to school, obviously will finally come to a halt. It will be brought to a halt. So it may end the educational undertakings of the person who is already pregnant. Another effect is ill health of the girl child. Ill health of the girl child. The girl may be seeing some signs and symptoms of a malformation in her body system. So it results to ill health. And where there is ill health, obviously, we all know there is no total health in that instance. Now, no proper care is given to the one who does it, especially if the one pregnant is from a poor family, is from a family that relies on an unreliable income. Most of the time, no proper care is given to such a person. Now, viewers, before we come to the end of our today's lesson, here is an assignment, and it comprises 3 questions. The first question number reads, name any 2 substances commonly abused in the Gambia. I repeat, name any 2 substances commonly abused in the Gambia. Number 2, mention any 2 organizations involved in the fight against drug abuse. Again, mention any 2 organizations involved in the fight against drug abuse. The last question reads, what are some of the effects of teenage pregnancy? What are some of the effects of teenage pregnancy? Now, this marked the end of our today's lesson. I hope you found the lesson interesting. Until we meet again, but please make sure the assignment is done by you, which shall be followed by our correction exercises in the incoming lesson. Once again, I thank you for your viewing.